oh man, guys. Sheesh, this wheel. Holy crap. The Commander GT Pro, which I have formally thrown my name in the hat for a formal name change. See, they polled people on Facebook, they being Extreme Bull, and the affiliate company Begode were polling people trying to see what they should do for the new wheel that's coming out. Nobody likes the fact that they have copied the naming of the Sherman wheel, or the veteran wheels. And I mean, whether or not they copied the naming, in presentation, it looks like that. So that's kind of the way that it seems. And I think that, you know, the community, generally speaking, pushed back enough to where that Begode, Extreme Bull, felt like it was an apropos moment to kind of walk that back. So they've surveyed everybody. And, man, they've got some really interesting names here. The number one that's, like, coming out the top is the Commander Bison. And then the second one, let's see, with 16%. So the Bison is at 37%, and the Elite is at 16% in terms of names. We've got Commander Apollo, Max, Atlas, Titan, Elite, Chimera, Chief, Commander, Viper, Warrior, Beast, Legion, Cruiser, Bull Apex, Extreme Bull Apex. That's kinky. Commander Volt, Ranger. Tom Oldfield, you have really taken the cake with this. I just want milk that tastes like milk. You're a G, bro. I feel that. If they go with that, I won't be mad. Griffin Plus. Appreciate that, Jose Bays. That's not bad. Commander Big Brother. I'm not really feeling the originality there, but okay. I hadn't really looked at all of these. Commander Biggie. That's crazy. I bet you that one should come with like rapping as like the default sounds. Oh. Tell us how you really feel, Reese Lewis. They all suck. Get a Commander Veteran Sherman, or get a Veteran Sherman. Adam Brongway. That's kinky. Command Her. That tracks. If you've been following him for a long time, you know what I mean. Let's see. Not so many votes for Matador. That's pretty good, though. Matador. Commander Force. There's so many Commander ones, man. Everybody's holding on to the Commander. So, I think that we should drop the Commander. It was a name that was coined to compete with Veteran Leaperkim, and let's face it, we're not just competing at this point, we're innovating. So, let's innovate across the board. Oh, man. Cringe warning, guys. They were so sweet, and I'm such an idiot.
Man, thanks so much, guys. Have fun, guys. You guys can do anything that you absolutely want to do it safely. That's all.
Anyhow, that's the story of how I felt hella awkward for trying to be inspirational while at the same time, being absolutely moronic. I didn't mean to, but it just, you know, it happens. Anywho, yes, let's just call it the GT Pro. let's get rid of the Commander thing and just call it the GT Pro. I don't want to keep on beating that down, but I just thought it was really interesting when I saw the survey that they had posted, that Extreme Bull had posted. It was pretty cool. This wheel gets you noticed. 100%. It goes fast. It goes excruciatingly fast. I mean, it goes so crazy fast. When I first saw it, I thought that this thing was going to be a heavy piece of kit. It is absolutely not. This thing is super duper light, and it feels like it just wants to fly forever. I mean, Sean said that he did 70. I mean, that was wheel speed. So, I mean, we want to see GPS for that sort of stuff, so we know exactly what it is in a consistent basis. Not that like 70 wheel speed is like poo-poo, but rather is 70 wheel speed a consistent metric in New York as it is in like Germany or as it is in like Thailand. So it's just GPS just gives us kind of a consistent continuity, and that's personally why I like to see the GPS speed. Not that like going 70 wheel speed isn't like intense enough. It's just literally I have never ridden something that just wants to keep on blasting and keep on blasting and keep on blasting. To be honest, I had to take a couple of days off just because it is entirely too fast. I mean, that sounds silly, but it just grabs too much attention. You got to remember, guys, when you're on these wheels, you are a focal point. Nobody has seen this. Okay, when I say nobody, yes, there are people who have seen them in the community. But by and large, most people have not seen electric unicycles. And of the people who have seen electric unicycles, have they seen somebody scooting at like 40, 50 miles an hour in traffic? I mean, that's not what most of these riders are out here doing. So when you start to engage in that 40, like 50 mile an hour, 60 mile an hour area, you are an anomaly. You are a spectacle. And people are worried. And if you think that people are not calling the cops on you, if you think that people are not paying attention to what you're doing, you are absolutely living in a fairyland, delusional. Because people are watching. Cars do not like getting passed by an electric unicycle. Some people think it's cute, but most people are irritated that they are having to wait in traffic, and you are over there seemingly breaking every law that they can't by packing, down the road at, speeds that they didn't think were possible on such a device. So you got to be mindful. This is cool to some people, and to some people it's an irritation. You're going to see why I mentioned that coming up. Now, check out where my knees are. Huh? How cool is that? If you saw that there weren't any shin pads there, then you would be correct. Right now, I'm whipping around in the GT Pro with the PowerKnobz. PowerKnobz are pretty cool. They are pretty cool. There are some intrinsic caveats with the way that the PowerKnobz do work, and there are some questionable durability things. But the important part, I think, is that people with limited range of motion are going to find a lot easier time having a seat on their electric unicycle. So hear me out. As a personal trainer, one of the things that we try to get to have happen is we like to see the glutes activate when people squat. When you keep your legs really close together, it's really difficult for your glutes to activate when you squat. And most people actually don't like to activate their glutes when they sit down. They like to do quad squats. People like to squat into their knees, which is why a lot of people have like pain in their knees, because they don't train for this sort of stuff, and they sit down that way. And over time, it just creates really weak knees because they're not spending time conditioning their knees the right way. And when I say conditioning the knees, it's the muscles around the knees, not the knees. Okay, so it's not like doing like stretches and stuff on the knees. It's moreover just making sure that you strengthen your quads and you strengthen your hamstrings. But since most people actually, are not super duper about that fit life, the PowerKnobz are going to enable masses of people to be able to sit down really easy, because they're not going to have to learn new muscle patterns. They're not going to have to learn new movement patterns. They'll be able to use the same old patterns that they've been using, which oftentimes involves like overactive adductors, so the legs like to clap together when they sit down as well. So the imbalances that people have, this is going to be funny, but the actual physical imbalances that people have with regard to classic squatting will play very nicely into the way that the PowerKnobz are designed. Personally, for me, I am going to have to do some modification to the way that my PowerKnobz are set up. I am going to reconnect them to a piece of acrylic after peeling off the Velcro, and fix them to a single piece of acrylic and make that into a singular pad that works for me. Because when I leverage into torque, or when I go to seating, when I have the PowerKnobz where I want them as far as comfort, control, and power, PowerKnobz, then going to seated, I end up having a problem with the way that the knobs are locking onto my feet. They want to come off of the wheel. They want to pop up and off. And so it's just a little bit cumbersome. I don't think it is a permanent problem. I think that I can configure a single pad solution that will keep me kind of leveraged in, because it's not as much any one single incident that does it as much as it is the constant leverage against the pad that eventually just kind of works itself loose, which I found myself a couple of times riding at speed being terrified. Now, this is what I mean when I say that this electric unicycle, it will get you in trouble because it just affords traffic level speeds just effortlessly. So know this, guys. You might be able to outrun the individual, but you will never outrun that radio. And this officer was waiting at the next light. So it really made me reconsider the speeds that I was using on this wheel. And it brought to real life situations, real light in my mind, that this wheel may be the birth of legislation. You can't have a wheel that goes 70 miles an hour on the road without any governance, without any sort of rules to help make sure that nothing crazy happens. I mean, it's insane. Seriously. Like, it's insane. I can't tell you how insane it is. This wheel will pace motorcycles. This wheel just is supernatural. Like, it has infinity braking power. It has infinity acceleration power. It's just, and I say infinity because that's the perceptual feeling. It doesn't feel like the wheel is limited at all by itself or any of the classic metrics that I have ever felt from any other wheel. So I used to do this, but then I didn't get as many comments, and now I've got some new comments, and so we're gonna go through some user comments. Mitsubisu commented, boy oh boy, you love this wheel. Maybe you should marry it. Those battery boxes are really low. As you say, it's a road wheel all the way. Yes, I do love the wheel, and I guess, I mean, if I could marry it, and then like also, but I'd have to be able to marry like a person also, because, you know, like I like to cook for my partner, and wheels, they just don't eat. Like, you know, I would be mad. I'd be like, my food is done and you're letting it get cold. I would be super salty. The battery boxes are incredibly low. I definitely clipped a curb like immediately. That was the first thing that happened when I tried to like bonk up a curb. The thing just went click clink. But in a road context, you are not going to be disappointed, dude. So Christopher V, well, I think it's Christoph, he said, nice video, bro, but the spoiler on the wheel do nothing. What a spoiler should do. It looks weird as, yeah. So yeah, the spoiler, the spoiler doesn't really do much. It actually just kind of goes up and down to expose the rear charging port. That's really all that it does. It does move though. It's kind of got like a little ratcheting system about it, which is kind of cool, right? Dustin Hankins was baffled that I was only able to get something like 30 miles of range. That's really what I'm projecting based upon what I experienced, okay? And the reason is, man, depending on so many circumstances, you're going to have vastly different outcomes, right? So it's going to be dependent upon the weight of the rider. It's going to be dependent upon the wind that day. It's going to be dependent upon the temperature that day. Was there any grade to the incline elevation that day? Were you going downhill or uphill, basically? There are so many things that go into what the outcome delta is for range that it's hard to say, okay, across the board, this will be the unanimous number. But given the speed that this wheel is capable of and how much you can dig into that motor, when you get up into that 55, 60 mile an hour range of speed, you are going to be milking that battery for every bit of what it's got at 168 volts. Okay? So that's why you're not going to get that 115. Now, conversely, if you were one of these people that has no problem going 12 miles an hour, 15 miles an hour for the entire time, you are going to have a wonderful, wonderful outcome for your range. I mean, the only person that I know that is brave enough or bold enough to do that consistently is Marty Back. Nobody else is on that level. Ridsan, he commented, I really like and agree. This was on my EUC elements video with the analogy between the elements and the wheels. Still for him, he said that he was going to put Extreme Bull as nuclear power. Okay, so for me, I'm still going to lean into Extreme Bull being a hybrid that is between Begode being fire and between Leapercam being earth. I feel like it's like a molten fusion, so like metal, steel, like it's a new element. It's a fusion. And being on the GT Pro, I totally feel like that. I totally feel like it has successfully, it being Extreme Bull, and the GT Pro has successfully conjured an identity that genuinely screams of something new, that tastes of something new. And if we can consistently get this new from the element that is this hybrid, this metal, this alloy, I think that we're going to be in a wonderful time of riding. If this GT Pro is any inkling of what the future holds, I mean, guys, the future is here. The future is now. This wheel is mind-bending. It should not be... Anyway, I digress. Yes, they are a futuristic alloy that is lightweight and strong and powerful. Technology fused between earth and fire. Mark 6068 commented, "Sick." Well, I'm not sick, but the wheel is. No, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate the love on the video. I've heard a couple, or I see a couple of comments about wanting the GT Pro Plus to be the next wheel. And man, you know, while I think that the idea of a 6,000 watt hour or like a 5,000 watt hour version of this wheel, I think that's interesting. But you don't realize how light this wheel is, guys. Like, how light this wheel feels. It is absolutely insane how light this wheel feels. It's just weird. It's just weird. So when you are wanting like a long range wheel out of like a hyper light wheel, like without riding this, what you're asking for is like, you want a long range Ninja, because that's what this is. This is like a Ninja or like a Hayabusa, right? And like, you're wanting like a cruiser Hayabusa, or you're wanting like a cruiser like Ninja, and it just doesn't line up in the same space, you know? So I have a links. This is Bob Latkey 7160. Bob Latkey 7160. So I have a Lynx and a Falcon and a V12 high torque, and my friends ask why 3. So I say, well, I have a Toyota Land Cruiser, a Baja Bug, and a Honda Civic. And then they understand. You have touched on something that is so epic, Bob, Mr. Bob Latkey. It is the use case scenarios of these wheels, right? So until you actually hop on several wheels, an electric unicycle just looks like an electric unicycle, just looks like an electric unicycle. But after you do hop on several wheels, you start to realize that things like diameter matter. Like, well, why does that matter? Well, the smaller diameter wheels, they're going to interpret more of the road feedback. Your knees are not going to be happy, particularly without suspension. You know, the bigger the wheel gets, the easier that it navigates the slight imperfections of the road. So therein lies an initial gradient of difference per how you're going to feel riding it. Another thing, is it going to be a suspension wheel or not? Well, the obvious thing is a suspension wheel is going to absorb some of the road feedback for you. And the non-suspension wheel is going to translate every single tiny detail of the road right through your knees and your vertebrae. You're going to love it. Absolutely. That's one of the things that people love most about riding EUCs. It's the way that their knees and their back feel. So, yeah, man, I totally get it. And I think that having a well-rounded stable is absolutely key to genuinely being able to enjoy yourself. However, if a well-rounded stable is prohibitive, then, you know, settling on a nice all-rounder is never a bad idea. And even though I'm not personally a super duper Leaperkim fanatic, I feel like if you have to settle into an all-rounder, settle. If you have to fall into an all-rounder, fall. Then honestly, Leaperkim really makes some great products. They're kind of jack of all trade, master of none sort of wheels. And I think that's perfect for a beginner. Anyway, thanks for tuning in, guys.
It's been your boy,
Johnny Go Vroom. And, you know, if you enjoyed the content, please remember to like, subscribe, you know, leave a comment. And if it's something that I can engage with, I'll get back to you.